Let's see if this works here. What's up, fight fans? We are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. We've been having a little technical difficulty, but we're getting through with it right now. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know where you're watching from. We have a lot of boxing to go over. Where do all fights start? Round one. So, I finally got this up and running. I was really having a problem. I tried to go on like 4 different times. It wasn't letting me. Seems to be holding up right now. I needed that sip of that coffee, man. I was getting stressed out. So back, let's snap right into it. Let's uh let's talk boxing. So we got Raymond Ford. We have a lot of boxing. I'm like waking up from a boxing hangover. That's how I feel. There's just so many fights to cover that we had to talk about. I'm still stuck on the fact that I wanted to talk about Schofield's performance. Keyshawn Davis comes out and has a great performance on Friday. Him and his three brothers fought on that card. What's up, Carlos? In the building, always one of the first. Thank you. And we just have a lot of boxing to discuss. We have Subriel Matias. We're going to be talking about his fight. Raymond Ford, how he looked at 130 pounds. We're going to be breaking down Jaron Boots Ennis and what I saw in that fan. Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez also fought. There's just so much and more. So let me get set up here really quick here. And we're going to get right. Let's get this episode started. So, wow, we have, listen, we have a lot of boxing to talk about. And I'm going to be dropping the chat so that if you guys, I'm going to just break down a couple things right here real quick, get some of these things out of the way. Then, if you would like to join and talk about it, we'll talk about it. We have a lot to cover. So, where do we start? Well, Raymond Ford right now, um, the young man, he improved to 16-8. He has one loss, right? Now, the man that he fought, Orlando, right? I didn't know much about him. I looked him up. What I saw from him last night, he was fairly well trained. It's light, I'm telling you. He was fairly well trained, right? And Gonzalez, for the most part, you could see he came to fight. But Raymond Ford was just on a different level. And at 130 pounds, he looks like he found a new home. It really looks like um he was weight draining himself against Nick Ball. Um he said he talked about that, but when fighters try to, they always don't want to take on the credit, of saying that they lost. Oh, you beat me at my best. No. But Raymond Ford really looked like he's really stepping up to a next level, and he looked real strong. He didn't look depleted. He didn't look fatigued. Um, that jab was just snapping. He was bah, 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 right? And he had Orlando in a lot of trouble, but hats off to Orlando. He weathered the storm. A lesser foe, I think, Raymond Ford would have got him out of there, but Orlando here, Gonzalez, he was there to fight, and he was just outclassed. You know, Raymond was just that much better than him. That's all. That guy Orlando, he was no bum. He was a pretty decent fighter in his own right. There's just levels to this, and that's just it. That's all that's there. I want to see more of this version of Raymond Ford. Yes, absolutely. He did his thing. He did his thing. Well, There has been a lot said about fighters, okay? And it seems like here we go again as fans, putting the cart sometimes before the horse and putting these fighters on a pedestal that sometimes they haven't earned. For instance, Jaron Boots Ennis. A lot of people last night on the performance that he had, we're going to be breaking that down. And let's do that right now. Jaron Boots Ennis, no sooner that he finished his fight with Karen, he said that maybe it was the opponent that didn't get him out of bed early enough to train or to give him the motivation to train that much harder. Now, Ed Hearn doubled down on that same sentiment, and I felt like that was just an excuse. From here on in, Jaron Boots Ennis, you have to understand, young man, that everybody that fights you is coming in and take away everything you have. Ed Hearns was sitting in that seat last night squirming. He was desperate for a win. And Jaron Boots Ennis gave him that first big win. He had some okay wins on a lower circuit in boxing. But as far as superstars or your top guys, Jaron Boots Ennis at least delivered a win for Ed Hearn. Oh, he needed a win. He needed to break that losing streak, I tell you. What's up, Armando, in the building? And Jaron Boots Ennis delivered. But let's talk about that fight and what happened and what I saw take place in that fight. I'm going to tell you what I saw. I saw a man overlooking another man. I saw Jaron Boots Ennis not even listening to his dad in the corner and doing what he felt like he should do. He really bought into the fact that Karen didn't belong in the ring with him again, that he didn't deserve another shot at him. It seemed like Jaron Boots Ennis was um, annoyed that he had to take this fight. And he was trying to just get in there and hit him with some big shots. And he thought that Karen was going to wilt under his punching power. And he didn't. Karen did a lot of good stuff in the inside. And he did things. He didn't waste a lot of movement. And a lot of people think that that was an easy victory. I disagree. I don't think the scorecards tell the story of that fight. I think Karen will give any guy a problem at 147. Anybody. That guy, the way he fought Jaron Boots, listen, Jaron was doing just enough to sneak those rounds by. But he kept connecting Jaron Boots Ennis with that left check hook. Jaron, he didn't make no adjustments. His ego was on full display. He wouldn't even look his father in the eyes. And sometimes he didn't even want to take the water. His father kept like yelling at him, "Get this bum out of here. Get this. Just knock him out already." And rather than settling into the fact, Jaron, you're in a fight. I want you to start working your jab, change up levels, upstairs, downstairs, perhaps change up your box cadence a little bit and try to set up some of the punches. Stop looking for the knockout. Stop looking for one punch to hurt him. Jaron Boots Ennis, what he was looking for last night was that one punch knockout where the crowd goes up and, he did manage to drop Karen. He did manage to drop him, but as you can see, I'm trying to tell you guys, a lesser foe would have been in trouble last night against Jaron Boots Ennis because even Karen on Fight Hype, which I was just on Fight Hype right now this morning. You can go check it out. Ron G's interview. I just hopped on there and then hopped here. And then all of a sudden my software wouldn't disconnect from there. I was having a real issue. So we were talking about it, and I think A lesser foe would have not survived that. The way that Karen survived that storm of Jaron Boots Ennis, he was on Fight Hype after the fight, still after the fight, applying Inswell on his face. And he said, yo, you think that Jaron Boots Ennis, when he would throw, it looks slow? The Karen was saying, he said, but boy, did it hurt. He said everything he threw hurt. Ryan Garcia hopping on quickly, talk about he would knock out Jaron Boots Ennis. That man is cloud chasing. He needs another story to get off some of the things that he said in the past that he's had a lot of criticism over. So quickly, he, just 2 weeks ago, he was on Terrence Crawford. Now he's talking about knocking out Jaron Boots Ennis. And when you have performances like that, what happens? You got all these guys in the division watching. Now they're like, oh, he's beatable. Now they're not so scared to call your name out. And sometimes that can be a good thing. They could sleep on him, right? Because I believe that Jaron Boots Ennis is a remarkable talent, but I talk about putting the cart before the horse. Now, let's just talk about this. Let's just be honest, guys. Armando, Carlos, right now, I want you to type this in. Tell me the truth right now. If you saw Terrence Crawford in the ring with Karen, you think that Karen would take Terrence Crawford 12 rounds? But yet, they're quick to say Jaron Boots Ennis needs to fight Terrence Crawford and that he's ready for him. I don't think so. I don't think Karen makes it out of that fight with Terrence Crawford to the 12th round. No. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But yet, Jaron Boots Ennis is good. Then you start to look up the fighters he fought. Then you start to realize, wait a minute, he had some promotional hiccups. Really not his fault. He should be a lot further in his career and had already fought. I could see the frustration in Jaron Boots Ennis, his team, and that they're not giving him the credit. And he doesn't feel like he's done anything wrong. And in fact, it's a lot of bad situations for Jaron Boots Ennis, in fact. But I'm not too sure, he would be ready for a man like Terrence Crawford with looking like that, having that kind of mindset where that you don't respect that guy enough for him to get you out of bed early enough to train harder. And that wasn't something that, as a fan, I wanted to hear, but I already knew. So in a way, I'm glad that he kind of said it. He's being honest with himself, and he's realizing there are a lot of men this past week that have a lot of lessons to learn in boxing. Abdullah Mason being one of them. I was shocked when I saw that young man go down. But if you go see my live stream, I have receipts. I said it, right? As soon as I saw that guy crack him, and I'm looking at his skills, I'm saying, oh, I see who he is. I see exactly who he is. And Mason doubled down on it, and he said, I saw that he was a guy that wasn't heavily skilled, but he had hidden secrets, hidden talent, meaning he can crack. And I laughed about his record, and I even wanted him arrested for impersonating a boxer, right? But he was that type of guy. If he catches you from the side late night in a club, you might not think much of him or the way he stands, but if he catches you, woo, he gonna surprise you. Kudos to Abdullah Mason for facing adversity, coming back in the fight. And when you're dropped for the first time in a fight, that can do something to a fighter. It can make him gun shy. depending how hurt he is, it can, make him retreat, start to go into survivor mode. Abdullah Mason did none of that. He was more of a stun punch knockdown, but I can tell you that hurt. It hurt his pride. Things are going through his head, and he had to keep it together and give his own knockdown. First he knocked him down, the guy got back up. But once he went downstairs to the body, he closed the show. Now, when you see a performance like that, right? And then you see Schofield. Schofield was actually pitching a shutout, bro. Right? And he gets dropped, and he gets all this criticism. He got exposed. He's not the fighter that, he can't beat this guy now. If this guy dropped him. And I was like, look, this is boxing. You're in a fight. You're going to get touched up. Lemos, look, why is it that there's a double standard in boxing? As fans, if Schofield goes down, he was exposed. As if Abdullah Mason goes down, he fought adversity. If Keyshawn Davis, at the time, he has 12 fights now, but at the time leading into this fight, if Keyshawn Davis has 11 fights, and they said he's clout chasing, calling out Tank Davis with only 11 fights. Okay. David the Monster Benavidez is about to fight David Morrell, and they're calling that one of the biggest fights of the year, the best fighting the best. That's what I'm talking about. These fighters daring to be great. But wait a minute. David Morrell only has 11 fights. So if David Morrell with 11 fights against David the Monster Benavidez could be one of the biggest fights of the year, why Keyshawn Davis with 11 fights is clout chasing? There are double standards in the sport of boxing. If a man's asking for the smoke, careful what you asking for, son, because you just might get it. And are you ready for that smoke? Some of these men are guilty for clout chasing. Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. Man, I could sit here all night. I've seen this before, right? But sometimes there's a guy out there that's been telling you, no, I want this fight. And when I saw the Keyshawn Davis fight, I saw a patience in Keyshawn Davis I hadn't seen before in any of his fights. You can tell that Bomac and Terrence Crawford and them, his style is starting to rub off on Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis even admitted it. He wasn't looking for the knockout. When this guy came in 6.5 pounds overweight, 6.4 in fact, over, right? Keyshawn was planning to going the distance. That calm, that patient, that to look for shots that Terrence Crawford does. Yo, he had remnants of Terrence Crawford in there. Did you see that? He just sidestepped. Real subtle shit. He wasn't doing too much. He wasn't moving, overexerting himself, jumping back and forth. He wasn't nervously throwing the jab. He was seeing everything he was doing. And when he came in, he just sidestepped, rolled the shoulder, bow. Once he saw that he had him hurt, he didn't do like Devin Haney did against Regis Progress. Once he dropped him, he just conceded in the notion, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to play it safe. Nah. Keyshawn Davis went in there, and in fact, he hit him on the top of the head, and Keyshawn kind of like, what? Y'all saw that. But Keyshawn's punch was harder, which shows he put his punching power on full display. Because if Richard Hitchison couldn't do that to Lemos at 140 pounds, and Keyshawn Davis did it at 135, being the professional that he is, he made weight. Lemos came in six, man, and it's not, and it goes to show you that you can move around weight bullies in boxing if you have the skills to pay the bills. Damn it, hit that like button. Come on, guys. I am cooking right now. Let's get them likes going. Let me read some of your comments here. Yeah, one of the comments is smash the like button. I agree with that guy right there. I agree with him. Yo, he's tough, Armando, right? He lacks some skill. It's not that he lacks some skills, Armando, so much. He does, right? But he doesn't have a lot of wasted movement. He cut the fat off boxing. All this extra, like, doom, doom, doom. No, he's straight to the punch. And since he's so simple and basic, it gives the perception that he wasn't on Jaron Boots Ennis' level. But make no mistake, when he was throwing them punches and them they was landing on who? Your superior fighter, Jaron Boots Ennis, that should not be getting. He didn't understand how he was touching him up so much. Jaron Ennis, he didn't understand it. He was like, damn, bro, how does this? And yo, the quickest distance is a straight, right? Yo, my man was doing the basic, simple shit over and over and over. And he was saying, but Jaron Boots Ennis is strong. He's strong. I'm going to tell you right now, bro. Yo, they better watch out for that man, the rest of the champions. Put Mario Barrio in the ring with that man. I'm not sure Mario Barrio wakes up the next day champion. Nope. Yo, bro, you would need someone equally strong and tough as Karen was, and that was Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis just took unnecessary damage. Had he paid attention to his father, he made the fight harder. You have to understand that. If Jaron Boots Ennis would have chose to box him, I think it would have been a different fight. Jaron Boots Ennis made that fight hard because he was fighting his ego. He wanted to go out there and do some spectacular shit and lay this dude out, bro. That was his problem. He wasn't listening to his father, his instructions, his corner, nothing. Jaron Boots Ennis decided he was going to drive tonight and that he was going to show the world he wasn't on his level. And Karen, he proved to be a worthy foe. That's what the hell happened, bro. Yo, I'm trying to tell you, bro, that dude Karen is going to be a champion. He's good. We might have to see them fight a third time, bro, unless Jaron beats him to the belts. Yo, Stanlionis, Emmanuel Stanlionis, I don't, wow, man. He surprised me, bro, because I really thought, I said, one version of this fight is when you fight a guy again, you know, we came into round 13 when that fight started. That was round 13. And the last time, Karen didn't fight like that neither. So he goes to show that they're both confident, you know, and Karen's team did their homework. They did their homework. They found out what punches were going to be more effective and get to Jaron Boots Ennis. Yo, that check hook was mean. Then he left the check hook alone for some of the round, right? And then he came back to it, right? And he was catching him. Yo, it was a real chess match. You know, I know you probably wanted to see something different. And when you're going into a fight with a different set of lenses, that you're saying in your head, Karen, because you've been fed this by these YouTube channels that Karen doesn't belong in the ring with him. So even you leading into that fight, your perception was Jaron Ennis should wipe this guy down. So all you were doing last night was watching it, waiting for the moment. And when he knocked him down, that kind of locked it in your head. Karen wasn't on his level. He was a bum. You were no longer seeing the work that Karen was doing. You got a different set of lens. You're not watching boxing. You're just watching one guy. And that could give you a misconstrued perception of what really took place in that ring. I was watching two men box and fight. And I was watching one man that I knew was betterly skilled. Jaron Ennis has a good understanding of boxing. He didn't use any of that. He didn't use his ring IQ last night. All he did was box a little bit and fight Karen. That's what he did. He decided to fight him. And he could have made the fight a lot easier on himself. He couldn't settle into the fight. Jaron couldn't get out of his own head. And that's Jaron Ennis' fault. But congratulations for the win. I also learned something from Jaron Ennis. This is what he wants to do with his life. And he's tough. Jaron Ennis is tough because Karen can crack. Karen was cracking him. He didn't have Jaron Ennis and no kind of like for the kind of shots he was landing. Jaron Ennis, if he gets into a firefight or he has to dig deep into his bag sometimes or whatever, I saw him do that last night. He didn't have to like go into the bag of tricks so much because that was due to his self. He didn't choose to go into the bag of tricks. He was trying to, but he went to the bag of tricks where it said selection, 1 punch knockout. He went to the bag of tricks and got those punches. He didn't use everything he can do. Because believe me, I've seen him do some shit. So I'm like, damn, Jaron, it was like he wanted to like knock him out and walk off. Yeah, man. But he's going to learn from that. And a lot of these fighters are going to learn. Listen, fight fans. What's up, guys? I just want the truth, my boy. What? What's he saying? Cops and robbers was funny last night. Listen, it's true. It's true. What, am I the only one that noticed this? The guy that Subriel Matias fought is a police officer. In fact, he's a police officer right now. As soon as he had to go to work the next day, right? And Subriel Matias has done Fed time, right? So this was a real cops and robbers, right? Where you say, hasn't anybody ever said, boy, if you didn't have that badge on, right? Right? If I got an opportunity where I could put my hands on you and not get arrested for it, woo! Did we not get that last night? Subriel was in the corner like that. Police had said, I got a warrant for you, Subriel. Subriel said, come get it. Come put me in. Let's see what would really happen if we was on the street, right? And you ain't had that badge or that gun, right? And you know how like the cops is always like, we're beating up these criminals every day, right? These criminals ain't tough. They act tough. No, we like, damn, I can't punch this dude, right? Because that's more charges. But last night, Subriel got the green light to put his hands on that man. And I was like, I didn't want to call like Subriel like a criminal or anything like that. So I was like cops and robbers. You know, I didn't want to be like convict or anything. Like, you know, I didn't want to put that label on him. He's not that man anymore. But it was ironic. If you ever got the opportunity, I was like, let's see what would happen. And go. He beat the brakes off that man. I was like, yeah. Yo, even though I got disconnected, I had my man. I just want to know the truth. People like that was just letting me know. And then I caught it. Good. Good. It was a good win for Subriel Matias. I mean, this is the guy that said yes. Let's just be honest. This is the guy that said yes to the fight. Because when Subriel was shopping around, everybody else was going, huh? Who, me? No, no, no. I got a fight scheduled. I'm fight. Devin Haney, what are you doing? Hey, no, no. Hey, you want to fight with Subriel? What? Huh? Who? Subriel who? No, 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 no. What? My mom's calling me. Hold on. Mom, what? Like, they didn't want to fight him. Nobody. It was just high risk, low reward. He didn't have a belt anymore. So, hats off to this gentleman right here for taking the fight. I was like, thank you. The guy came out swinging. He came out swinging. And as soon as he came out swinging, I looked at that shit. I was like, man, I seen this movie before. I knew it right away. I was like, one, you're not hitting him hard enough. You surprised Subriel, but when Subriel starts lackadaising more in his defense, he took that big shot and went, man. He was like, este pan conmigo. He was like, man. And boom, 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 boom. Subriel, I saw his expression. I've seen that movie way too many times. And listen, 10 seconds in the fight, I was like, he's done. He's done. Everybody's like, oh, he's doing good. He got Subriel. I was like, wait a minute. It was like literally 3 minutes later, boom, dude's on the ground. I was like, what's up, police officer? You ain't you didn't get your man. Your man got away. You know how the cops be like, on a new sheriff in town, I always get my man. Well, don't seem like you got your man today. Yo. That's one for the good guys, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Come on, people, hit them like button for me one time. Yo, so who else we have too that was make it Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. Hey, let me drop this because I've already shared a lot of things that, I don't go too far and get you guys thinking about other stuff. Let's see if anybody wants to come in and, I don't take it as a debate or an attack to me. If you want to just come up and just talk boxing, we can do that. Just state your claim. Let it be known. I come in peace. You know what I mean? I'm gonna throw down the link right here in the chat to restream. All you gotta do is just join. It's free. You don't gotta do all this crazy shit. Just like StreamYard. If you're not familiar with it, same setup. And if you come in, I'll see you in the corner first. If you got your camera on, if you choose to show yourself, you can show yourself. If not, just let me know that it's you. And then when I put you on, you can put on your emblem if you want to feel comfortable like that. But yeah. So Bam Bam Jesse Rodriguez. My man improved his record to 21-14. Right. So let's all right. So now that's a young pitcher. He don't even got tattoos on his face. He don't even look like that no more. So that's 21-14 right now. And Pedro was his last opponent. He had a pretty decent record here, man. If you look at this record of this dude, man, and this is including the loss last night. Remember that. So that's 42-4. So coming into this fight, he was 42-3. So it was a title offense for Bam Bam. A lot of people are, everywhere he's gonna go, the reporters are always gonna ask him about Chocolito and whether or not if that fight is gonna materialize. And I see that I just want to declare this just in case any new fans are watching right now. If you happen to notice that any of the fighters that I put on, and you see that is look, WBC. If they had a WBA world title, it is not going to show up on boxing record, and it's going to make the fighter look like they had less belts than what they actually have. And this is a thing between Box Rec and the WBA. I don't have any power, to put their belts back on, but just in case people, do look at it as such. Now, um, look, Jaron Boots Ennis, he increases his record to an astounding 33 and 29 knockouts and no losses. Currently in the world, right here, where it says, you see the globe and the flag? He's number one for the Americans in the 147-pound weight division out of 398 American fighters that are registered. Out of all fighters that are registered in the 147-pound, there are 2,410 registered fighters in the world. He is number one. He's 27 years old, orthodox boxer, 5'10". As such, these are his first fights that he fought, which, as you could see, the first fighter he ever fought never had a win. He never had a win. He had a losing record. Usually, typically, that's how fighters start, because when you're looking at this, right, you got to remember, Jaron Boots Ennis started his debut, and this guy would actually be a guy that he fought, and it would only be his second fight. So those were the levels that he was on, you know, coming into now this fight with Karen right here. Um, oh, unanimous decision. Yep. Okay. He stopped. Okay. So this unanimous decision breaks no contest. All right. So Jaron Boots Ennis has to start fighting some of the top guys for me. He really does. He has to start getting better names on his resume, man. And it was the unanimous decision against him once again that he went two times. He couldn't knock him out. When you fought a guy twice and you just can't knock him out, brother, you gotta give this guys a little credit. You know, you gotta give him a little credit. Oh yeah, I wanted to check out one thing here. Wow, he looks young there, huh? They need to update that photo. Woo! So now his record is 24 and 13. Now he has three losses. Three of these losses, I mean, two of these losses out of the three are to Jaron Boots Ennis. So he suffered a loss early in his career, which you could see right here. And it was like his second fight. You could see it right there. See it? So that was real early. And then the next two losses, he went on a massive winning streak. You can see his loss right here on the top, Jaron Boots Ennis. His next loss is to who? Jaron Boots Ennis. So that there's no shame in that right there. There is no shame in that right there. So I just want Jaron Boots Ennis, now that he's in the 30s, man. He has 33 fights, bro. 33 fights, bro, and there is no name on his resume that jumps out and says, yeah, that guy right there, he beat him. That guy was a multiple division world champion, a multiple, at least reigning world champion. He doesn't have that. So it's hard to say, oh, yeah, he's ready for Terrence Crawford. Really? Really? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There are a lot of men that really have to get honest with themselves, and make that assessment. Abdullah Mason saw that. He acknowledged. He said, "Hey, there's this fight woke me up. This fight right here showed me something. You know, there's levels to it. We're in a fight, fan pleasing. And I think in the moment he was a little shocked and a little embarrassed. Um, they put these microphones into these fighters and faces right after a fight, and they expect them to just be calm. Bro, some people get in a fight and it takes them hours to calm down. You put a microphone in front of that guy's face, he's going to say some shit he might regret. And these athletes have to have it all together. They have to have a quick rebuttal. They have an answer, and their answer has to please everyone. It's tough. I believe that the Mason family, um, if they had to say something today, I think they would say something towards the fact that, um, you know, we're gonna go back and practice on some shit and learn. Keyword: learn from this, and see where my mistakes were, where I went wrong. I mean, Abdullah Mason said he came in early. He said I should have listened to my dad, and not get so close. But kind of disagree with that. Because the first time he got dropped, it wasn't that he went in so close. The guy, the Dominican dude, was following him into the corner. He was backing up into the corner, and the guy was pressuring to him. He didn't get close to him. The guy got close to him. The second time he got dropped, he got too close to the guy. The second time, but not the first time. What got you into that problem in the first place? So things now you see where that he was early, and sometimes some of these fighters don't actually remember the fight. They literally got to go watch it, or their corner got to tell them what they did for them to start to remember what happened. They just fighting, bro. That's why when you ask the fighter, right? Hey, when you baited this guy and you went like this, you placed your foot on the outside, the fighter's looking at the dude like, you really think that I was thinking all that? I didn't put my foot on the outside, go like this. I didn't think of any of that shit. That's just the way I fight. I just do it. The fighter doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that that's called coaching. The coach knows I coached him to do that. The fighter's just doing it. And since the fighter themselves are not coaches, they're fighters. Sometimes they're the last person to realize that was my coaching that did that. You ever get the coach that thinks my fighter's going to give me all the credit because that's the exact combination I was teaching him to set up to knock this guy out? No sooner that the microphone gets in his face, he goes, I knocked him out like that because I'm a bad motherfucker, and I want to send shout out to my man over here and my God and my mom, and yeah, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, my coach, but yeah, man, I really, I just felt the punch there, and I saw it, and I put it together, and I hit him. Meanwhile, his coach is sitting there going, bro, that is exactly what I trained. Sometimes the fighters are oblivious to what they're actually doing. Gotta understand that. They sometimes they don't see it. So yeah, that he's gonna Abdullah Mason's gonna see, and then Schofield. Schofield reminds me so much of Sean Porter. I don't know if anybody ever told him that, right? Uh he fights like Sean. Yeah, look, I'm trying to tell you guys, right? If you go watch that fight, you watch Sean Porter when he fought like um Arrow, he fought like that against Arrow. His father didn't want him to fight like that, but Sean Porter's gonna be Sean Porter, man. He's gonna fight that kind of fight. But it's funny because that's who Schofield reminds me of. I don't know if anybody ever made that correlation, right? Like Keyshawn Davis kind of reminds me of Hitman Hearn, but now his older brother even reminds me of him even more, right? But Keyshawn, like Hitman will go like this with his hands. right? He would go like this, he would rock. And his older brother did that more. And Keyshawn, now he's starting to go towards like Terrence. And yo, shout out to Bo Mac. Shout out to Team Crawford. You know, I'm guilty of being a fan and picking individual fighters because that's how I was trained to pick my sports in American sports. You know, you pick your favorite team, you pick your guy, and we go back and forth and shit talking. So in boxing, I always view it like that. I'm a big advocate about seeing our US guys, but not everybody's always in an agreement with that. I see what Terrence Crawford's doing in Bomac. They're taking these young fighters under their wing, the ones that want to, and the Shakur Stevenson, the Keyshawn Davis, and Bomac he has a stable of fighters, and the Floyd that he has, and there I'm Cash Money there, that dude, and like there's a lot of fighters that Bomac is starting to take in. They seem to, if I was to say, if I was to put Team USA, that would be the closest we have for a Team USA, what Terrence Crawford and Bomac and them are doing. Just like Garcia, he's got like the Mexican team. He's got a selection of fighters though, but mostly a lot of them are Mexican. And if I had to put my finger on it, that would be Team Mexico right there, you know? And just like Japan and them, they got their own thing. So, I wouldn't mind if I wish Terrence Crawford would like stop the fucking fighting against Shakur and Keyshawn. And, he doesn't have to be like on the team. Like, Tank could be like fucking Wolf. I wish he was our Wolverine for the X-Men. I wish that's what Tank would be with them. You know how Wolverine, he didn't like fucking with the X-Men. He was like, y'all bitches, right? And but he knew they were the team to be with to fight against bad. So he knew he kind of needed them, but Wolverine was always a loner. He was always coming, Scott there, the laser dude, and Wolverine would come in and bang Gene. Because that's what was going on, right? While Scott was out riding his motorcycle, with his laser beams, Wolverine would come in and just be like he'd be an X-Men, but on a distance, like, listen, we went too far saying shit. I'm down with y'all. I'm gonna cut the shit out, but I don't have to fucking put on your spandex. Take Davis tell them I don't have to join your boy band. I'm with the band, but fuck you, you cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm still gonna rock with y'all. You know what I mean? I wish he was like their Wolverine. Like bury the hatchet, stop rocking each other on disrespecting each other and shit, and start fighting against everybody else, man. Try to bring these belts back. You know what I mean? You know? But Tank's gonna be Tank, man. He's just Tank's in he's already decided in the fact that um the streets raised him. You gotta understand who Tank Davis is. Tank Davis is that little boy that thought he was gonna get that Christmas present on Christmas and never got it. Tank Davis is that little boy that thought that mom was gonna come get him out of that house. Them weeks that he was promised he was gonna be there, oh, you only gonna be here for a week. That shit turned into months. In some cases turned into a year or two. Tank Davis is that kid that they made a lot of promises to him as a kid, and he didn't. There are a lot of broken promises. He he really latched on to the few people that were the most loyal to him, like Calvin Ford. And Calvin Ford can't talk to any other boxer, or Tank would cut him off. And he's like a father figure. Floyd went and trained with Shakur. That was it. You got to understand where Tank is not educated and book smart, where it's like he has a college degree in fucking physics or anything, but he has a diploma in street smarts, and he has a college education in street smarts and loyalty. He comes from a place where he remembers the few moments and, the people that showed him love. And he even went back and bought like his neighborhood. Tank Davis is really like, he was molded different. And when you ask him to be this type of person that accepts everybody else, that all of a sudden, Tank Davis, you don't have to be on guard and you don't have ops. And he's like, yes, I do. You guys are the ops. And they want him to play nice, but be in a competitive sport where we punch our faces in. Tank ain't gonna be that way. Nah. Mm-mm. And unfortunately, if you say anything about that man, you turn into an op in his eyes like that. And there's really no going back with him. Tank is gonna be Tank. Either you're with me or against me mindset. There's no in between with him. Nah. Not when you got a guy that guy has literally tattooed Baltimore loyalty like on his body. He ain't playing that shit. And that's what it is. So now you got Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Terrence Crawford's in the background. He's just like, you know, but and then Bo Mac now is training. What Bo Mac now becomes one of the ops to Tank now. Like, but I understand where Tank comes from. I understand completely. I see who Tank is. I can see who he is. And you're not gonna change that. You're not gonna change that. So it is what it is. Get him in the ring with Virgil Ortiz and try fight like that. Look, the problem is this. This is the honest truth, right? Although it was an excuse that he said, I didn't get up and train as hard for this guy. Well, you know what? That's your fucking problem, right? If he comes in to fight a fighter like Virgil Ortiz, he's not going to fight Virgil Ortiz like that. Not Virgil. He knows who Virgil is and how big that fight would be. It would be a different fight. Virgil Ortiz is tough, right? But as we saw, he can be dropped. And as we saw in the Karen fight, Karen himself admitted everything. He said, and I mean everything Jaron Boots Ennis threw hurt. He was still had an inswell coming out. You look at that kid from Fight Hype was interviewing him. They were passing him different stuff. He had one, it fell, he got it. Then the guy came with the inswell and he was like, that shit might be shattered in there. Not until he gets to the hospital and shit and starts, I don't know. But apparently it looked like it hurt. And he admitted it did. So, yeah. What is he saying right here? That that was crazy. 20-1. This guy came in a 20-1 underdog. If you would have put $100 or $1,000 on that man, bro, he came off over 17 months, right? Was it? Layoff. He lost to Pacheco. So thinking coming into this fight, the first 2 rounds go by. You're watching Cole. He's jabbing. He's working the jab. Then all of a sudden, He decided to try to out Mexican him. He stood in front of him and tried to out Mexican the Mexican rather than boxing the American slick style that you know how to do that was effective the first 2 rounds. Here's another young fighter that got caught, boop, heard the oohs, the ahs, and wanted to get it back and paid the ultimate price. He took too much damage. Where the hell do they turn their backs and their side on their opponent? Schofield did it. If his opponent didn't want to take advantage of him, and as soon as he turned his back, he had all the right to run up on him and punch him in the side of the head. The referee didn't hold the action. You do not control. Cole was going to the side like this. He got pieced up in one of them. Sometime he got away with it. Where do they do that at? Yo, massive, and I mean massive upset. Ed Hearns was in his seat, just slithering. He was, yo, his top prospect just shit the bed. Oh my God. That was, and listen, Gelatos there, man, you got to give him credit, man. It didn't look like ring rust. It didn't look like, it looked like he got better. What a massive, for the fight makers to sell your product. Whoever picked that matchmaking to pick that, yo, they're breaking his kneecaps in the back room. What a oh my goodness, that was so, I couldn't believe what I was watching. And yeah, I was shocked. I didn't, they had me convinced. The boxing world had me convinced that he was going to come out and wipe this guy. I mean, if Vegas is saying a 20-1, that's why. Vegas just ain't going to throw away their money. They know what the fuck they talking about. And they had him I couldn't believe it. Oh my God, I was cracking up laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. When you see shit like that, this is boxing. This is boxing. Jesus Christ. Then they telling him, yo, we're going to stop the fight. We're going to stop the fight. And he's like, no, no, no. He lasted 7 seconds, but it goes to show that at least he didn't quit. He went out on his shield. He was like, yo, like he was hurt. He was hurt. The referee was talking to him. His corner was talking to him. And they was texting him messages. Yo, stop the fight. Yo, like, yo. He just didn't want to say tomorrow that he quit. And that was a mental battle. At least for me anyway. Taking an ass whooping. Like sometimes you're too tough for yourself and your corner has to step in and make that decision for you. And his corner should have, but they allowed him to go out on his shield. I can't say anything about that. You know, and it was what it was, you know. But I think that, yeah, you know, massive upset, massive upset. Yeah. He got his ass whooped, bro. He did. He got outboxed. He got outpunched. He was landing some big shots, but they were far in between 1, 2, and he abandoned his jab altogether. The things that he did in the first half, the first 2 rounds, he didn't fight like that anymore. I think that he tried to go in to knock the other guy out, and he got caught with a few big shots. And before he realized he was in a fight, it was too late. It was too late for him. And he beat him. He beat him, man. He beat the fight right out of him too. He took the fight right out of him. Ed Hearns was just. I wish they had the camera on him. They should just have a camera on Ed Hearn, just a live stream of him in like sitting in the chair. Like, yo, I mean, all his fights. So Jaron Boots Ennis came through for him as far as his top guys. Yeah, Jaron Boots Ennis came in for him. And you could see that Ed Hearn is trying to promote all his fights on every platform he can. For God's sake, he had Liam Paro and Richard Henderson in the middle of the ring advertising their fight. Yeah. So he's taking he's making all opportunity. Did you guys hear the offer? In fact, that Oscar De La Hoya offered Ed Hearn, to fight 5-on-5, and then he said six. Him against that'll never happen. First of all, Ed Hearn's never laced a pair of gloves up a day in his life, and if he did, he was usually typically with his YMCA coach going over some drills or something, because Ed Hearn couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. But he has enough money to hire some fighters, so you better watch out. You know. But as far as him getting in the ring with a Hall of Fame legend like Oscar, I wouldn't recommend to do that, Ed Hearn. All right. So it's probably going to be a 5-on-5, but not so fast, Mr. Oscar De La Hoya, right? The first stipulation he put was one that Ed Hearn right away might not want to agree to, a tiny ring. He wants a tiny ring so that Ed Hearn's fighters that are more mobile fighters won't be able to run against Oscar De La Hoya's Mexican pressure fighters, that it caters more to their fighter with a small ring. That ring that Jaron Boots Ennis fought in, I was like, wow, is that a big ring? They went and got the biggest size ring they could find, huh? They knew that Jaron Boots Ennis fought better moving, and that Karen was more stationary forward. He wasn't gonna dance around a lot. Like the first fight, he moved. Karen moved. He did move. Their team probably called the fucking ring to be that big. Come to think about it, right? Because Karen was moving more the first fight than this fight. This fight, he came to fight. This fight, he stood right in front of Jaron Boots Ennis. He didn't go anywhere. Jaron Boots Ennis had no problem finding that man in the ring on that night. The only problem he had was finding ways in. Because every time came over that threshold, Cameron was right there with something. You know, it was a good fight. It was better. I'm telling you, that fight was a lot better than the scorecard suggests. That one scorecard shit was like, what was it? Was it 116, 111? Fucking ridiculous sometimes. 119. What was it? 119, 113, some shit like that. What was it? I forgot what the scorecards was, because as soon as I saw them, I was just like, all three scorecards were way off each other. No two judges saw the fight the same. Sometimes you'll get one guy say this and two guys seen it the exact same way or a little similar. These scorecards were kind of all over the place with each judge. So I was like, all right. So, the scorecards really didn't tell the fight. They really didn't. I just think it was a much more competitive fight, and that I'm still standing on my statement that Jaron Boots Ennis, in fact, made the fight harder for himself. Had he made proper adjustments and was listening to his team a little bit more, I think the fight would have been a little bit easier for him. If he would have conceded the notion that, wait a minute, I'm in a fight, and he would have respect Carrington a bit more than what he was, showing kind of boxing respect for Cameron. He just really didn't look like, for me anyway, that he thought that Karen should be in the ring with him, and so that's why. Yeah, I feel it does it. Every boxer can learn something. Every boxer, right? Everybody got something they could take away from their last fight, what they can go work on. But at the end of the day, at this level, not so much, down, sometimes, but at this level, with every name that comes across your table, you and your team are going to come up and devise a game plan to fight this guy a different way. So when you're thinking, yeah, he's going back to the gym to work on some things because he was getting caught with this and that. Yeah, he's going to make some adjustments. But all fights are like not always, you're gonna have a different game plan. Hopefully, if you're that kind of team, not everybody. Navarrette's team, I think they're gonna fight Valdez the exact same way. If you ask me, I think Navarrette's gonna, in fact, stop Valdez. Like, and I think it's gonna be sooner than later. They're coming into their rematch. You know, Espinoza and Robesi. Robesi always. There's another fighter right there, Robesi, where that his career is turning out to be the guy with all the talent in the world, but he seems to mess up during those Karen fights, if you know what I mean. Coming out, want to lose your first fight type shit, getting the belt, losing it type shit. When everybody knows you got those skills, what is it that gets him so bored? That after the fights, even in some of his victories, he was like, man, just like Jaron Ennis. He was like, man, you could see it in his face. He didn't like the way he fought. He didn't like his performance. He knew he made the fight worse for himself. Because both of those men, Robersi and Jaron Ennis, great fighters. They literally made the fight worse for themselves. So let's see how Robersi responds against Espinoza. I still think that Espinoza, I think he's gonna beat him. I think he's gonna beat him. He's gonna fight with that confidence. He's gonna really utilize his reach. He's gonna, you know, and once you can hurt somebody like he did, and it's not like he hurt Robesi in the early rounds, dude. It's not like he hurt him when he was at his strongest, right? He hurt him late. That does something for for you coming into another fight like that, you know. You know, let's see. Maybe it's true. Maybe Robersi might have took Espinoza lightly. Maybe he didn't run that extra mile leading into that fight. Let's see if he can correct the mistakes, and let's see if he really wants that belt back. It's they say you don't know what you got until it's gone. He was world champion. They he lost that belt. Any champion that loses their belt, they realize, ooh, them endorsements are not there as much. I didn't I buy a restaurant that says champ on it. You are no longer the champ. Right? Being the champ is a part of your success. You're going to need that belt. And boy, do they start to miss it. Fighters like Shabir Matias are starting to find that out. Without that belt, Devin Haney advertises himself since he got that WBC World Championship and unified all those damn belts. He needs a belt. They don't know what they had until it's gone. Yeah. So fight fans, Sunday morning, you know, we got a lot of good boxing still coming up. Like I said, you got Espinoza and Robesi. They're shooting the rematches, uh Valdez and Navarrete, they're doing their thing. So, you know, and then also Ed Hearn strikes again, right? He got Connor Ben up there. Oh, off the suspension. Bro, uh, what they do? Reduce some. That doesn't take away that he still popped dirty. They just probably decided, like, you did your time type thing. You know what I mean? So they was like, okay, you did your time, you served it, and boom, right? But Ed Hearn, he was laid it on thick for him. He's the best 147-pounder out there, right? And is this another case where Ed Hearns is trying to set up one of his fighters to get one of his Brit fighters again? You know, a lot of people felt that about Subriel and Liam when it came out that he was the promoter for both fighters. So technically he couldn't lose, but who did he really want? You know? And you know how Ed Hearns is with Connor Ben, bro. That's like his fucking son. You're not going to convince me all of a sudden he's going to go against Connor Ben for who? Jaron Ennis, an American fighter. That the only reason why Ed Hearn came to America and promote American fighters, which in fact was his first American fighter he ever signed, is because Connor Ben got kicked out of fucking the UK over there. And the only place that Conor Ben could fight in was the United States of America because he wasn't banned in the United States for 2 years. He was banned over there. He couldn't go back home. So now that this is lifted, you know, fights Chris Eubank Jr., Ed Hearns is out there with those guys. So now he could really you heard him. Conor Ben's the best 147-pound. And I'm not just saying that because he's my fighter. Really, you're not just saying that because he's your fighter. And it just so happens your fighter, 147-pound real champion, is fighting, but you're calling this guy the best? Fucking promoters. Real sharks. That's the business. And that's the nature of the game, and that's the nature of the beast. So, fight fans, listen, guys, you guys have been amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, please don't forget to like the videos, comment on the videos, share the videos. If you haven't already, subscribe, click that bell notification icon. It'll alert you every time I go live. And like I said, love yourselves, be careful out there, and on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. You guys have been amazing. My name is Edwin here at Round One Sports Talk. Peace.